Now, January in England is often a grey, dark, dank, cold sort of month. It's not my personal favourite. But the good thing about January is to me that it is the start of the gardening year. And by starting the gardening year in January, I always sow sweet peas, that quintessential cottage garden favourite. Now the sweet pea isn't annual, so it only lasts a year, but what it does give you is the smell of an English summer and those beautiful colours that you only get from annual flowers, a rambling nature of a sweet pea. Now, you can sow sweet peas in January, like I'm doing now, but you can also sow them in the autumn, and many people do. Now, what that will give you is it will give you earlier blooms in the late spring even, or early summer, and particularly if you're going to put them in a show or something, you might want to get ahead of the game. But the problem with that is that you really have to control the conditions over the winter, because although they are a hardy annual, if they're just exposed to the elements, you may not get the results you're looking for. And in a suburban garden like this, I don't have the space, I don't have a greenhouse, so I can't really protect them. But what I did do last year as a bit of an experiment was I put some seeds in a pot and I've left them out all over winter to see what would happen. And here are the results. It is a very heavy pot. Now, I have taken the supports out, so this is now a bit of a sweet pea mess, and I am actually going to have to do some sorting out of this later. But what you can see is that sowing these in October and the autumn, they basically took off, and we have some sweet pea plants. Now these have been exposed to frost, they've been exposed to rain, they've been exposed to the cold, the dark, and they have survived. Now, whether they will actually produce good flowers and what we're looking for from a sweet pea, that remains to be seen, but we'll have a look at those in another video. But what it does show is that, you can get ahead if you want to. Let's put that down for a moment there. Now, but what you can do, what I'm doing now, is sow them in January. Now, the thing about the sweet pea seed is that it's in a very hard black coating. Now that obviously gives the seed a level of protection, so if it's in the ground, in an exposed area, it's a pretty hardy little seed to kill off really. But the problem with that is that if you are trying to germinate them at home, they can be difficult to germinate for that reason, because the water cannot penetrate the seed. Now, what some people do, and there's some guidance on this, is to actually sit there chitting the seeds. And that means, cutting into them and scoring them and sort of permeating that hard shell. Now, frankly, I don't have the time or the patience to be chitting 100 seeds, which is probably as many as I'm going to grow this year. So what I do, and what other people do as well, is put them in water 24 hours before you're going to sow them. Now what that does is, it just makes the seed swell, it gets moisture into the seed, and it gets them started. And then once you've done that, you're ready to go really. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these as a present. So I've got this small module here. This has got 6 modules in it, and it's filled with just a normal garden compost. Now this compost is just a mixture of garden compost from my own garden, so all the vegetable peelings, kitchen waste, other bits and pieces, perennial waste that I've thrown in the compost heap over a couple of years, rotted down, and I've run some leaf mould through it to give it some bulk. There's nothing special in here at all. There's no fertilisers, there's nothing additional, there's nothing fancy or anything like that, and in my view it's completely unnecessary for getting seeds like this off to a good start. So all you do is you take your compost and put it in these modules and pat it down so there's no sort of air gaps in it or anything, and then you take your seed and you put it in. Now the thing about this compost is that it is slightly warm. I mean, by that I don't mean that I've taken the compost and put it in the oven for a few hours. I just brought it in overnight and got it up to room temperature, because if you're going to take freezing compost from outside, particularly in January, where it's either frosted, it's got a bit waterlogged, it's all a bit unpleasant, you really are going to be setting back your germination. So it's just doing a few modules like this, bringing them inside. You can have them in a tray like this so it doesn't create a lot of mess, and then you really should have success with germination. Now, I'm going to put 2 seeds per module in here, because I think I've got the space, because they're quite big modules. But if they do become a bit big, a bit leggy, I can always split them down. Or because I'm probably going to give these as a present around Easter, which is I think the last Friday of March this year, I will probably just hand them over as they are, and then it'll be the problem of the beneficiary to sort them out really. And as I say, you just take the seed, put it in the corner and push it down and make sure it's covered in compost. Now once you've done that and you've planted up your modules, you obviously want to give them a water. This compost is quite moist anyway, and the seeds are obviously moist, but you know, you do need to make sure that it does remain moist, so give them a bit of a water after you've done them. And then you can put this on a windowsill in a cold conservatory like this. If you're lucky to have a greenhouse, you can put it in there, or a cold frame, and they should in a few weeks or so get going, and then you should have some really good sweet pea plants. Now the variety I'm growing here are called Matucana. Now I love these sweet peas because they're brightly coloured, they are a mixture of pinks and purples and kind of iridescent blues in a way. They're really stunning, and anyone who ever sees them goes, oh what wonderful sweet peas you have. They're not puritanical like white or anything like that. They're not dusky pinks, which obviously you can get, and they're not frilly in any way. But what they do have is they have the most amazing smell of a sweet pea, and if you want a sweet pea to smell like a sweet pea, I cannot promote these enough for that. They really are what you imagine a sweet pea to be smelling of and like. Now what we'll do is we'll put those away, and then in the next few weeks when they germinate we'll return to the sweet peas in another video, and then we'll show you what we're going to go and do from there.